All right, in this next video, we're continuing on starting from question number 2, and we're just going to go ahead and jump into the questions. Number 2 says, translate the following statements into a single English sentence using if and only if. So what is the point of this question right here? Make sure you try it out first. All it is you're just getting used to using that phrase if and only if, and combining it using basically the language of the biconditional. So it says, if a polygon has 3 sides, then it is a triangle. Let me just kind of, for my own sake, write a little note. What is this symbolically? What would that look like? That would look like if a polygon has 3 sides, let's say T for having 3 sides. Oh, actually, no, that's not a good idea because I'm going to use T for triangle. Let's use P for polygon. Polygon has 3 sides, then it's a triangle. Second statement, if a polygon is a triangle, then it has 3 sides. I want to combine those two to make an if only if statement, P if only if T. Okay, that's the target goal. But we're going to do all of that in English. So in English, super easy. Just going to make one big sentence, say, if a polygon has 3 sides, if and only if it's a triangle. So a polygon has 3 sides. If and only if goes right in the middle of those two. Oops. If and only if it is a triangle. Simple as that. So 2 things I want you to notice here. First, like I mentioned, if and only if goes right in the middle of the 2 statements. The second thing I want you to notice is there's no if at the front. This is a very common mistake that I see people make. They write if in the beginning, and then write if and only if again, but that doesn't really make sense because the if and only if has 2 ifs already, and each of those is sort of representing each direction of the biconditional. So no if at the front, and then if and only if goes right in the center of the 2 phrases. If you look at the first phrase here, that's like the P. The second one was like that T that I had written earlier. But anyways, this English sentence is the answer to question number 1. Okay, question number 2. Let P be the statement, I fall asleep in math class. Q is the statement, my drool drips onto my phone. This is an example from personal experience. Okay, it says, translate the following, I fall asleep in math class if and only if my drool drips onto my phone. So right away, I see this if and only if. I know the translation for that part is the biconditional arrows, yeah? And then I fall asleep in math class, that would be the P statement, right? My drool drips onto my phone, that's the Q. So the translation is P if and only if Q. Simple as that. All right, number 4. P is a statement that you eat massive burritos every day. Q is a statement you will not live a long, happy life. Not live a long, happy life. Okay. So translate the following into symbols. Right away again, see the if and only if. Let's change that to the biconditional. This part on the left, you will live a long, happy life. This is a little confusing because you notice the Q has the not in there. This one has not have, there's missing that not. So that means it's the negation of the original Q. Yeah. And then you eat massive burritos every day. That was the original P. So what's the translation then? Not Q, if and only if P. Simple as that. Okay, number 5. Given that P is a true statement, Q is a true statement, and R is a false statement, what's the truth value of the following compound statement? All right, so this is a type of question that you should be comfortable with because that's the kind of thing we're going to see a bunch. And for sure, you're going to see something like that on an exam. I have the question copied down here, so I have some space to work. And the very first thing, remember the first step to get a free point, just replace the statements with their truth value. So P is true anytime I see a P. Q is also true, and R is false. So just like that. And then in between, keep all of the original symbols that were there. Now let's figure out the order of operations. So order of operations says negations first, right? Followed by ands and ors, followed by conditional. And then the very end is a biconditional. So when I see this biconditional here, I'm thinking that's going to happen at the very end. So I'm going to throw in my own parentheses just to help me keep things straight. These parentheses aren't affecting the order of operations because the biconditional already is going to happen at the end. This is just for me to, in my mind, separate. I have a left side and I have a right side. I'm going to work on those individually. Okay, what was the first thing to happen? Well, I got this negation there, so I'm going to attack that negation. It's going to become a false instead. And let's just do that one step. Okay, that's the only thing we're going to do this step. So what's that going to give me then? The only thing I did in that from that previous line is I took the negation of the true, so made it a false. Everything else is the same. So now I can work within each side of the parentheses. So over here I have true, and I know that is a true statement, yeah? And statement is true when they're both true in the left and right. And then the right side I have this conditional statement. I know conditional statement is true as long as I'm not true to false. And this is a false to false situation, so that's okay, that's true. And so I end up with true if and only if true. Well, that's really crooked. True if only if true. And I know that is a true statement based on the new rule that I learned today for biconditionals. So that's overall true. All right, number 6 says to repeat the previous question, but this time with a new set of truth values. We're going true, false, true this time. So the first thing I'll do is just copy down the question. It was P and Q. If and only if, not P, arrow to R. Another small tip, when you're doing this kind of questions, make sure you have enough space to work out your solution without tripping on yourself. So use another paper, basically is my recommendation. So P is true in this case, anytime I see a P. And Q is false. And R is true. Right, so here it is, and then I'm going to just write down all the symbols in between the letters, including the negation, conditional. And also in my mind, I'm separating, here's the left side, here's the right side. All right, let's follow the same order of operations. Yeah, the negation first. That's going to give me a false on the left. Yeah. Arrow to true on the right. That's the only thing I'm going to do, that first step. Just apply that negation. Second step, I'm going to take care of this inside the parentheses there and that inside the parentheses there. So true and false I know is a false statement following the rule for and. False arrow to true, that's a conditional statement. The left side is false, meaning automatically the end result is going to be true. Remember, with a conditional statement, if I start a false, it doesn't matter what happens afterwards. The overall thing is considered true. And then just copy that biconditional down. So I end up with false if only if true, and we know that in that case, since they don't match, that's a false statement overall. Okay, so under the new circumstances, number 6 is now a false statement. Okay, let's go back to the notes here. What do we have to do? Okay. Actually, now is probably a good time to cut this video off, I think. Yeah, because the last thing is sort of a new topic. Last thing is, yeah, we just finished number 6. Last thing to talk about is what we call logical equivalence. That's coming at you in the next video.